Welcome back to Sticks and Strings. I'm Naomi.
I'm Beth.
I'm Eve.
And it is full on 2024, middle of January already.
It's far enough in 2024 that you stop writing 2023, kind of, sort of.
Yeah. I don't think I made that mistake yet this year. Maybe not.
I was watching a lot of like floss tubes, people doing WIP parades and things like that for the end of the year. And a lot of them were saying, well, this year, last year, I
know. Yeah. It's confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think Beth's going first.
Yeah, I think
right?
I will. Yeah. Let me take a fortifying sip. Okay. So, I've been working on my first two WIP-GO things, the number 9 box or whatever. So, I did Seahorse Soiree was what I'm calling I'm saying I have a primary and secondary call in
Sorry,
each
I'm
box.
moving this chair.
What?
I was moving this chair trying not to make noise.
But so my primary WIPs, are all existing WIPs, whatever, and the secondary boxes I'm using they're mostly WIPs, but some new starts. So anyway, my primary one that I was working on this week was Heartstring Samplery's Seahorse Soiree Biscornu. And my goal was 7 days, and I did about 7.5-ish days.
You fail. You get an F.
7.5.
Oh.
Than 7.
I think
you get an A+.
I think she should just go ahead and keep working on it. She's almost done. Look
Yeah.
how cute it is.
Yeah, I'm almost done with
wow.
this is the first half. The back half I haven't started yet. But the back half is, of course, simpler. But, yeah, I wanted to keep going, but I was like, falling asleep. So, because...
well, you're almost done.
Yeah, all these little fish and seahorse don't have eyes, except for 1 or 2 of them. And so, yeah, the hard part is the whale and the mermaid, because the mermaid is like, different colors and all, it's just not as straightforward as, like the fishes and the seahorses and stuff like that. The octopuses don't have, there's, the blue ones are missing there's a secondary color in there. And then the green ones are done with backstitching, apparently. I was trying to look at the chart, actually, because on the chart that has the colors, it has 2 little lines for the backstitching, because there's 2 different colors for the backstitching. But if you look at the chart, they look the same to me. They look the same thickness, they look the same color. It's hard, because I'm like... But the only thing, that's why I was, keeping this handy, because on here you can kind of see, the green jellyfish have like a red kind of smile, and then their tentacles are green, I think, or something like that. And then the blue one is just regular stitching.
The fabric you chose for it really sets off the stitching.
Yeah, I thought it looked really nice. It looks very, very underwatery.
Well, the colors of the thing just look really nice on that fabric.
Yeah, I like they're very colorful, the little sea creatures.
It's really cute.
And then the backside
do you use
has...
this for pin cushions, or what do you use them for?
Yeah, you can use them for pin
That's what I'm
cushions. You can
using.
use them for...
The one that she made me, I have it in here as it's a pin cushion.
Yes.
I was using it every day as a pin cushion, but I kept falling off the table because, I'm moving my sewing around or whatever, and it goes flying.
What I like about this back design too, though, is that the little framing border on here is a different color. It's a greenish color, I think, or a different kind of blue or something. And then there's crabs on the back, which are not on the front side. So yeah, it's very exciting. But I have the other 2 WIP-GO calls. I didn't bring them with me because I haven't started either of them. I haven't started working on either of them yet. But so anyway, so that's Seahorse Soiree Biscornu. I've hit that goal. And then the other one I had for that goal, for that box, was the Rabbit October. And I talked about it last week because that was when I was working on it. And I did just a tiny bit more on it this week. I just finished the the some of the yellow colors on here. It's kind of hard to see from a distance because
Isn't that one of the
it's so
rabbit
dark.
rabbits?
Yeah, this is the January rabbit here. And so this is October. And so I have 1, 2, 3 more rabbits to go, I think. Yeah, and some other stuff. So, you know, but I made significant progress on this. So that, and it didn't have I didn't have a goal on there. I just had it as a, you know, in the thing. So then the other thing I worked on is this owl trio. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. Rachel, if you're watching, this was your birthday present. And I went ahead and mentioned it now because I don't know if I'll finish it. The 29th is coming. I'm like, that's a lot of stitching. It's a lot more stitching than I anticipated because it's not really full coverage or anything. It came with this blue Ada, so the blue, you know, is most of the background here, but it's a lot of it's still pretty dense stitching, and it's a little, you know, you have to kind of pay attention. Like I'm at the point right now where, sorry, I got a black fuzzy on there, where like in this empty space of this owl, there's like you know, it goes back and forth between the basic orange color and then like some little, you know, individual stitches or whatever that I have to like, I don't know how to, you know, I'm gonna have to make my way around it. And there's a lot of French knots apparently in at least in that main middle owl. So it's a lot more complicated than I had anticipated. So I may or may not be able to finish it. And
I would say not.
But if Rachel knows me very long, she's known me for pretty long. She's used to that.
So and so for today, I'm continuing to work on my Black Cat series stitching, and I'm almost done with the Blackest Cat, the number 3 one. I had set it aside when in December mostly because I was working on, you know, Christmas stitching. Sorry, there's a dog under my feet here.
You moved her. She was on top of my foot, and it was keeping my foot warm.
No, she was under my leg. I was trying to move my leg, and there was a dog there.
Top of mine.
But anyway, so I'm actually about like maybe 3 stitches away from finishing this number 3, and I did a little bit of the border and just started number 4. Because I think that was one of my December goals, was to start, you know, a little bit of Black Cat season. So I started number 4. I just put 1 letter in there. So if I finish this today, then I'll be working on that border so that I can, you know, do the number 4 chart, which is House Panther. Yeah. So, and then the other thing is just I watched Colorado cross stitcher Sherry Berger. I watched her, I guess, January update, and she was talking about winter cross stitch camp, which I had kind of forgotten about in all the hubbub. But so I decided I did want to do that, and I had talked about earlier about one of the things on my WIP-GO board is these little tiny modernist mouse charts. Mouse's Beach Outing and, oops, this is upside down, Mouse's Lucky Day. So these two are on my WIP-GO board together because I started them and I'm about maybe a third of the way through this one and a little bit less so on this one. So, so they're on my board together. And then in the sort of secondary one is this WIP. This is a new start. I'm sorry, this is a new start, not a WIP. Mouse's Christmas Decorating. I bought this during the Jingle Ball. So it's also small, 59 by 59, so it's not very big. And I think I have fabric chosen for this already. And so for Winter Cross Stitch Camp, I'm going to do this one. and the goal is to finish it, in a month. And so I'm hoping. And the challenge is something with an animal in it. And so this has a mouse. And the only issue right now is there's a couple of, there's a DMC alternative list on there, but there's several fancy flosses. I think they're all weak dye works, yeah. And I have all of them except for two, Pumpkin and Hunter, are colors that I don't have. And one of my other WIP-GO pieces, actually one that's on call for this month, I am missing one Gentle Arts floss. And so I've been debating about whether to order them through the mail, or because we haven't really had time to go to the attic to do that. And also going to the attic is, for me, kind of dangerous because I might see something that I feel compelled to buy. So I'm, haven't been anxious to do that, but I was going to order flosses from the Shepherd's Needle, which is a shop in Little Rock, and I always feel like patronizing them because I used to live there, and if I'd have known it was there, it would have been really nice. But I didn't find out about it till after I moved away. But so it was either between that and 1, 2, 3 Stitch and going to the attic. So I still haven't pulled the trigger on that. So, but that's all I've been doing this week.
That's you?
That's me.
Okay. Let me finish this stitch because it's half done. So right now I am working on strawberry hands-on design for the berry basket. I don't know how many.
Scoot this way, Evie.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Joe.
You almost
There you
didn't
go.
show that.
So I don't know how many she's put out. And that's kind of why I want to go to the attic.
Sorry.
It's her new phone.
When your
Sorry.
phone issues.
Sorry.
It's the whole story.
That's kind of why I want to go to the attic to see if she's put out another one.
Ah.
But I suspect it won't come out yet.
Are those new?
Well, the blueberry one came out after this one.
Is that also Erica Michaels?
No,
No, this is
Oh,
hands-on
hands-on
design.
design.
Oh, that's how I know.
And it has this different top, like that.
Oh.
And she has on her website how to do that. And I really like the fact that it looks like a strawberry cap.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, with the little stem. And then the pins are just pins. They're not like specialty pins.
Oh, they're just little red top pins.
Yeah. But I thought I want to see if another one's come out because the blueberry one is so pretty.
You have it?
Yeah.
They're long and skinny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
And they're actually not very complicated. This one, the pattern, but I haven't been concentrating on that because I've been doing other things. So one of the things I was doing was making my snowman berry,
That's so cute.
and I
Is that a button?
So what did you do in the top?
so the top is a white cap with another white almost cap thing on top. So a roundy one, and then with a kind of a star-shaped one on top. And then I followed the colors of his hat, which is black, purple, and then there's 2 blacks on top of that. And then I stuck a snow thing. But this, a snowflake. But this stuff
What is
all
that
around is a ribbon. It's not ribbon exactly. It's a trim. And one day I was like trying to fall asleep and I noticed, I went, that's because I've been trying to find a project to put it on. And I went, that would look really cool on the snowman berry because it looks like snow.
I see. That's really cool. He's so cute.
So one of the
It's
things,
really beautiful.
Yeah.
so one of the things is that when I was finishing this, I was like, but it needs a cardinal pin, you know. And I know that a lot of the Jabco pins are there at the attic, but I don't know that I want to spend money on a pin.
Yeah.
But because
be
he has a
cute.
little cardinal sitting on his hat, I kind of like, and I thought, well, can I make a cardinal pin? I probably could, but do I want to?
You could get
Okay,
you could get Sculpey clay. You could make yourself a little
So-
bird. And
so let me put it this way, okay? I paint, I draw, I sew. I've made candles, I've made soap,
you knit.
I knit,
You
I crochet. I have worked on palette projects. I've worked on bottles, you know, where you have to drill holes in the bottle. I made somebody else drill a hole. I've worked on clays where you kiln fire them and clays that you don't have to kiln fire. So I am pretty confident that if I want to make something, I can figure out how to do it.
That's right.
But you know, I know how to make a hamburger, but I'd rather go buy it.
That's a good analogy.
So, so like I said, I'm confident in my ability to figure out how to make something if I want to. But do I want to? Or do I want to just see if somebody already has it made? That's just like Beth was looking for a dress for a recital or something when she was in college. And she couldn't find what she wanted because if you're not doing it at the right time of year, you cannot find certain
Right.
things. And so I made her one. You know, so it's like, do I want to make one? No. So I've been working on both of my WIP-GO projects at once. I'm going to show this one first. Black cat stitching for fun. No, cross stitching for fun. I'm working on the reverse.
Come here. Come here.
I'm working on the reverse of what you
barking.
see here.
No barking.
And I haven't got
No barking.
a lot further than I was last week because I've been doing other things. Let's see if I can light behind it. But I got his face.
Yeah.
So this seems very easy, and it is, but it's not. Because especially since I'm using a variegated thread, you have to be cognizant of what color is the end so that you use the end color to start the next one. So that, you know,
Yeah.
but also when you go from, like I came up this stripe right here, okay, toward the face, and then what do I do next? And I have to make sure that whatever I'm doing next fits in with that variegation. And it makes it a little bit more challenging to, okay, now where do I go? But where I have this one coming up, there's another piece that goes down behind it, and then it goes on the other side. So I am still having to figure that out. But
It's cute.
I like the way it's coming. And I liked the picture you put up of
I
the
was gonna
variegated
ask.
cats.
My two very
So-
good kitties.
The other one I'm working on is Stormtrooper, which is a kit, and I did not.
Come here, Ro. Come here. Come here.
So
Come here. Stop barking.
a lot of what I got done this past week, you can't see at all because it's white on white. This area right in here. But I did
His
a little
face
bit
looks
more other places.
cool.
His face
Yeah.
looks very recognizable. I mean,
And I'm just working on it a little bit at a time. I was making those big bags for the symphony. And afterward, I did not want to do anything.
Anything.
So I did not stitch. I didn't do anything. I just didn't want to do anything because it was just, and then I was busy doing stuff, household stuff.
Naughty dog is barking.
And I put in one thread on watercolor trees, loops and threads. This was given to me by
Christmas.
for Christmas. And I had thought about dyeing the fabric, but when I looked at the threads, I was like, well, I don't know what I would dye it, because some of them are very, very, very light and some are very dark. And I thought either way, it'll be bad. So, excuse me. So this light color right here, I'm going to have to break down and actually start putting it in again. But I have trouble seeing that. It is not white. It is blue, but it is just barely blue. Kind of like 775 is.
Yeah.
DMC 775 is almost white, but it's blue. And it's it's not the same shade of blue as what's there, but it's kind of that hue, So, but when I look at the design, it's really pretty. So I really want to get it done, but it's not something that I'm like, I gotta finish this. I like it. I want to get it done, but I can only stitch invisible stitching for so long during the day. And then the last project I have over here is I picked up, I guess this is kind of a story, but it's also, I talked about those bags.
Yeah.
So I went to start stitching on this Itty Bitty Kitty Committee, Missouri Star Quilt Company. And I thought about it and I thought, that fabric was it would fray so easily.
What fabric? For the bags?
For the bags. It was just...
She made 4 bags for the Phoenix Symphony. Big poster bags. Giant.
Yeah. They were lined and I did other things. Anyway,
They
that fabric sheds and it frays very easily. And I was always having to make sure, that the frayed part wasn't going into the stitches and stuff. And so
Was your sewing machine full of junk?
I had to break down and unscrew everything on my sewing machine.
Pull all the gunk out.
And pull all the gross stuff out. And I can't
love
even
doing that. I don't know why.
I can't
It's
even
like
tell
so
you how
satisfying.
gross it is. But it has to be done.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it also makes sure that your fabric stays clean.
Yeah.
So, because this is mostly white. Okay, not mostly white, but you know what I mean.
Shall we hold it up and cover Beth up?
It's not very wide. This is
so cute.
I think it's a twin size. It turns out to be a twin size quilt.
It's like a nice lap blanket or couch
Yeah,
kind of
couch
blanket.
quilt. I have,
That's so cute.
this is all but 2 rows, so it's not going to be huge.
Well, plus borders.
Yeah, it's got 2 borders. It's got a inside border and an outside border. So,
Cute.
and the design has it with I don't remember what line they used, but the design has it with this bright colored line.
Uh-huh.
And I had 2 different batiks. No, 1 batik and 1 fabric. They're 5-inch squares. And I was like, can I blend those? One was blues and the other one was these bright colors. And I just think I like the way they look good together, and I like the bright kitty
It's very
cats.
bright. It's very bright and pretty.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to fold it back up again. So I said, I gotta get some of this stuff done. So I started working on this, and hopefully I'll continue to work on it until it's done. We'll see. So that is me.
Yes, you. You know, I was thinking this morning, Eve.
What?
It's been so cold this week. I was like, I miss Eve's temperature chart.
I've been thinking that too. I kept looking at temperature charts,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it's.
I almost bought one, and then I almost bought a different one, and then I thought about it, and I was like, do I really want to do that? Do I really want to do that?
Yeah.
Because what am I going to do with it afterward? The one that I chose before, the design for me is pretty, even if you
Yeah.
didn't know it was a
I
temperature
saw.
chart.
I think it was a cross stitch one that was a tree.
Yeah, I've seen people do that one, and it turns out really pretty. And the one that I considered buying is sea turtles, and my
I
major
haven't seen that.
hold up with buying that is that the inside parts are going to be all different colors because that's what you're putting in there, right? But the turtle legs and all that, they're kind of a drab green, and it could have just been the picture,
Yeah.
but I would love a jewel tone. And I mean, I could change that,
Right.
you know,
Right.
but I still keep thinking about it.
I thought about
little
a temperature
turtles.
blanket, but then
I saw somebody who crocheted a temperature blanket.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them. They have some, because I wanted to do one with highs and lows because I think that's where our weather gets really interesting here. But because I mean we had mild days, but lows in the 30s.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It's crazy. So I kind of was like, there's this one mitered square blanket where you do like it's like literally each day is a little square like this, and it's two colors, and one is the high and one is the low. But I thought about it. Then I'm tied to that,
Yeah, I was gonna say you're committed to it.
and then
all
it's
year
just
long.
one more thing to make me feel bad.
Well,
But
but the thing is that I know from working on that other temperature chart that other than the base stuff, like if you're going to make the tree one, you have to make that tree before you can start putting any leaves on it. And this one, I would have to at least know where that turtle was going to go, right? And stitch part of that turtle. And some of them, you know, there's a whole lot of stitching you have to do before that. And on this one, it was just the borders,
yeah,
right? But
and I like
the
that
anchoring-
you could do the border as you go down.
right, the anchoring stuff. Well, I could do the turtle one, you know, month at whatever. But you pick a day that you do that, and that's what you do on that day. And you can do other stuff that day, sure. But if you're just doing, you know, 1 week's worth, it's usually not that much.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, in cross stitch, in knitting, it'd be like, you know, it's like, because
Knitting
if you
one-
want a blanket, like,
knitting one row.
yeah, they have these what are they called? It's a temperature chart knitted, but it's just a wall hanging, so it's only this wide or whatever, and you can and actually they have that whole thing. I can't remember the name of it, but they have a thing where you go and you can do years past, like you can do a year where you were born and now so to you know compare whatever.
So I still think about it because I figure if it's under 2 weeks, I might be
Yeah.
able to do
You
it.
catch up, yeah.
Because the weather thing that I was using, you can look back 2 weeks. So
I thought
I
about
still
it,
think about it.
and I was like,
But
well,
but
I
if I'm
thought
gonna do
that's
one, it's gonna be that
the turtle.
turtle one because I really like sea turtles. But I would have to change the color of the turtles.
Right. All right, well, I guess it's my turn. So, I have in my office knitting. So I made a decision. I don't know when it happened, but I decided that no matter how busy I was at work, that I was going to take. This sounds weird to say, right? But I was going to take like a full hour. Sometimes it's only 45 minutes or so for lunch and actually knit or leave the office. And so I've been knitting a lot at lunchtime. So I'm just like, I need to get out of here. And I think I'm a really good employee, and I volunteer for everything, and I jump in when I'm needed. So I'm like, I need to take this time, and I don't want to give up my knitting time. So anyway, this is my hat. This is the Musselburgh hat. It's turning into, what it'll do is basically be probably twice as big, 19 inches, however long that is. I've said this every week, but anyway, this is how far it's gotten on its way to being a tube. So I just do that. It's just knitting. Oh, but last week you'll remember I found a mistake, right?
Yeah.
Like further down, and I figured it out, and I laddered down, and I figured out what I was doing wrong. Well, I went home and I found many of them throughout the hat. And I fixed most of them that were in like the top couple inches. And there's I know there's at least 2 down here that are still there. But I decided I can't ladder down that far, and it didn't affect my stitch count. So it's just like 1 stitch over here and 1 stitch over here. And nothing, there's no holes or anything. So I found them. I was like, man, and what I was doing was, I don't know, you can see, maybe I'll post a close-up picture, but because of the nature of stockinette stitch and these tiny little needles, I think is part of it, the knitting rolls forward like that on my needle where I hold the stitches to knit. So then this needle comes through. I mean, I've used this needle to pick up the next stitch. Well, if it's rolled like that, it's very easy to grab the stitch that's on the needle and the stitch below. And that is a particular kind of stitch. So what I've been doing, and I think it was a result, I think I made so many because it was a result of, see, here's one right here, of knitting while I was sleepy. And not paying attention. So I am forcing myself to roll out those. And I realized too, because I'm working on these tiny, shorty little needles, that I think maybe I should put the longer one. Because I have 2 long... Anyway, I have 2 sizes of needles for this set. And then now I'm realizing that the one in my right hand is longer than the one in my left hand, which is something that you can do. So that this hand doesn't tire as much holding the tiny little needle. But I wonder if I had the longer needle, it wouldn't. See how this is a short little needle and it curves right there. Whereas if I had the longer needle, I think it would sit better. So I'll probably go home and change those, and maybe I won't have so much trouble. Anyway, that is my Musselburgh hat. And
other people, when they look at the hat, they won't know.
No, they won't know. No, but
It bothers you.
Because it's kind of like a dropped stitch.
I just want to interrupt you to say I'm finished with that number 3.
Yay.
This one.
Okay, so I talked last week also about my desire to do the Master Hand Knitting program. And did I show? I don't know if I showed or I talked about
you talked
the
about
yarn.
them. I don't think you brought them.
Yeah, I didn't bring them. I forgot them. This is the yarns I'm going to use to make my swatches for the Master Hand Knitter program. And you're supposed to pick a contrasting color, and it's supposed to be pastel, but I didn't like any of them. And I thought this will show defined stitches, and if it gets sent back because of that, well, I'll just redo it. But I don't think they're going to do that. So those are my 2 yarns for the Master Hand Knitter program. And I wanted to show some of the books that I will be using as references and stuff for my research. This one I got when I started this program back in 21. I got this Vogue knitting book. It's ginormous. It's pretty comprehensive. It's the ultimate knitting book, and it has. It kind of looks like a large intestine. This is my first thought. It has a lot of instructional instructions and drawings and things like that. So I can cite these as references for my swatches. And then I also got this. Monty Stanley is considered a great knitting author and teacher. And I know I think she also has stitch dictionaries, which I'm going to be purchasing. But this is called The Knitter's Handbook, published by Reader's Digest. And it's much the same. It has instructions, illustrations for all different kinds of stitches. So those are, I just brought those to show. Like that's going to be my, some of my reference library that I'm trying to build. Are heavy. When I went to the yarn shop to get these, I accidentally bought more, and I meant to bring these last week. It's isn't that gorgeous? And I'm gonna work really hard to do a chain ply so that the colors stay separated. This is roving for hand spinning, but I just fell in love with it. It's so pretty. So that's my new toy. It's a Polwarth wool and silk, and just variegated. The colors are so nice. Oftentimes you'll see all this color on the outside, but then when you like dig in, it's still white on the inside. But I see as I kind of pull it apart, the color is saturated, which is nice. That's from Tempe Yarn and Fiber. It's dyed by the owner. Delicious Fiber is the brand, and you can find them online. As is my way. Oh, I'm going to talk about something else. I decided as part of my journey in 2024 is to look at some of my WIPs. I'm not doing WIP-GO. I can't handle WIP pressure. But I was like, what do I want to work on? And all those WIPs I have in mind. And I kind of this morning even was like looking through and deciding. And I really want to finish my my office sweater. So this is the back, and this is where it was when I put it away. That purple line, one of the reasons that I got slowed up in this is that this pattern is by Stacey Perry, Very Pink Knits. It's called 3 rectangles and 2 triangles. And you see, it's really easy if for a beginning knitter, if you would like to try making a sweater. It is a sewn sweater. You start out by making a swatch, which becomes your pocket, and then you make another pocket. So you don't have to have a useless swatch, but then you know you're making gauge. And then you knit the back. So this is probably halfway. You knit the back, and then you knit 2 rectangles for the front. And then you knit 2 basically triangles, so really more like trapezoids, for the sleeves. All in this same pattern. I don't know, I can't remember what she calls it. This is bulky weight, so it goes fast. But part of my problem was that I know the pattern, which is rib on the front and purling straight across on the back. So it would be pretty easy TV knitting, right? But I have to keep track of the rows because I obviously want to make the fronts the same, and I don't want to have to go back and count. And so I had like a marker. I put in a marker at like 50 rows, and then I'm like, oh, but I gotta keep track. And I don't know. It was stupid. So what I did, and it's something I've been wanting to do for a long time, is learn how to. It's not learning. It's not really hard. But you see this stitch that's running up the front. This is every 10 rows. And so when I knit another 10 rows, all I do is lay it across the knitting, and it keeps track. Like Arne and Carlos talk about doing this all the time, and I just never have. And I thought this will help me not have to worry about going back and counting or whatever. So I can keep track of it. And then when I make the 2 fronts, I can do the same thing, and it will keep track for me. So that's what that is. And I decided I'm going to pick this back up when I get bored of everything else. And no urgency, but just I want to make it. I want to make it for my office. Although I have 2 sweaters at my office already, but they're both very thin fabric. So this will be a nice thick bulky sweater, and I will keep it there. Then, I'll talk about this next. Part of my Christmas for my brother and his girlfriend were socks, and I didn't make them, as you remember. So last night I decided to do not last night, night before, I made him his first sock, and then I will make the second one, and then his girlfriend thankfully wants shorty socks, or he thinks she wants shorty socks, so I'm making her shorty socks, which will go much faster. So hopefully I'll be able to mail your gifts to him soon. Their gifts for my brother are sitting in my house. So there's that. And as is my way, I was sitting there thinking about Hannah, my favorite doll to knit for, and I was like, I made this giant gift for her teacher for her graduation. But I haven't made anything for her. Well, I made her sweaters. I've made her all kinds of stuff. But I was like, I want to give her something substantial. So guess what I'm doing? Starting a new sweater. I have wanted to knit this sweater. Okay, this book is called Fearless Fair Isle Knitting. I bought it because I wanted to learn. This was years ago. I don't even know when this was put out, but I bought this years and years ago. And I wanted to knit something from it. And I started this little sweater. And it was ill-fated from the start because I wasn't mature enough in my knitting, I think, to take this on. It's very fine gauge, and it was using this yarn. I found the yarn itself, but I didn't find colors that I really liked enough of each, because you have to buy all the colors all the yarn that you need for the project, right? And I liked some other colors, but there wasn't enough, and so I settled for 2 that were actually too close in contrast, and so so I didn't like it, and I was just really learning about my gauge and really learning about my tension. So I knit the cuff of this stupid little sweater about, I don't know, 4 times. And finally I got sick of it, and I pulled it all out, and the yarn is still sitting in my box. It's mochi yarn, which is really beautiful, but that's the other problem. It's very sticky, and it has a huge halo. So, meaning like the fuzz around the yarn itself. So if you had to undo anything, it was horrendous, and it was so small, and it just wasn't fun. And I think, and I don't remember now because it's been a while and I've slept since then, if I made the fingerless gloves before that or after that. Because it's possible I was like, I can't do this vest. See, this is a really cute vest. That's what I was trying to do. It's like a hooded vest. Huge project. I'm so stupid. I'm not stupid. I'm ambitious, and I just want to try things, and I jump in, and sometimes I can swim, and sometimes I sink. So then I made these mitts. Have I worn them on camera? I probably have. They're in my purse right now. I made them for Hannah because I thought she could use them while she's playing, but they're not comfortable for her to use while she's playing, so I took them back. I've actually made 2 versions. When she was in middle school, I made a version of this in super neon bright colors, which she liked. And then I made them, but I thought, oh, maybe, for like sitting in a cold orchestra rehearsal, maybe they're too loud. So then I can get them. They're right here around the corner. I made them in blacks and blues and grays, which I thought would be more, still contrasting enough to do Fair Isle. But muted. So these are the ones I made her from this book. and she likes them, but she never used them because I think, because I was thinking that she would still be able to, probably the right hand would be fine, but she would still be able to play, but the thumb gusset is impeding,
Yeah.
So they were in her room, and I'm like, I'm taking these back. So I use these at the office when my hands get cold, and it's real wool. I think it's just Peyton's wool from Joann's or whatever, but it's nice. And so this was my knitted twice, first successful Fair Isle pattern, and I think they did a really great job on it. I'm actually really proud of these. But one of the things that attracted me about this book, and that I have always wanted to knit, is this one, and it's kind of apropos, right? That's why I thought of it. It's called Genevieve's Graduation. The designer knit it for her daughter-in-law's doctoral graduation. Look at that.
Oh, that's really nice.
It's really gorgeous, and this model it looks like black, but this is dark, dark, dark green and a cream color, and then red and gold is the body. And there's and here's a close up of the pattern. It's just beautiful. So I messaged Hannah and I was like, okay, here's the deal. I want to make this for you. Do you even like it? Because I just never know. I never know. Girls are all over the place. And she was like, OMG, that is wonderful. That's beautiful. So then I'm like, okay, what colors? Do you like it just like this? Or do you, because this is dark green and gold and red. And she said yes at first. And then she started thinking about it. Oh, here's another. That's just gorgeous. Then she started thinking about it, and she's like, maybe I don't want a predominantly yellow sweater. And so I was like, well, we can do any combo. And remember when Dad did this too? I was like, what color sweater? All the colors in the world. He's like, brown. So she was like, I think I want it in shades of brown. I'm like, okay. But so we found, and I'll show you guys. Here's a picture of the yarn colors that we're choosing. We're choosing this very dark color called Bittersweet Heather. It's like bittersweet dark chocolate. Mm-hmm. And then an Oyster Heather, which is a creamy off-white. So that's going to be the bands around the outside. And then the other two colors we're choosing are Camel Heather, which will be the lightest color, and Bison, which is like a medium brown. So all of this that's gold and red will be Camel and Bison. So it's going to actually be not a lot of contrast. But then I think that bittersweet and cream will contrast a lot with it. So it'll be a very subtle patterning in here. And then I thought, because we were actually going to go more subtle. And then I thought about this section here with the flowers. And I'm like, I want this to at least show a lot of contrast. And I think it really will with the ones we finally chose. So it's going to be a brown and brown and brown and brown with a little bit of brown sweater. But I think it'll be really beautiful. And so I ordered the yarn the other day, and it's coming on Friday. So next week I'll have the colors, and we'll see if it really works. But yeah, so I ordered that from Knit Picks. So I decided that's going to be, hopefully I'll get it done by May. If not, she understands. She knows me well. And this book was a hardback, just not a hardback, but a regular bound book. And I took it to FedEx the other day because the last page was falling out, and I'm like, oh no. So I took it and had it bound, which is nice because then you can open it flat. Yeah. And then I was thinking I probably will scan this pattern into my computer, and so that I can put it on my my iPad, so I can use Knit Companion with it. But the problem is, okay, so this book, I got to see when it was written. It's kind of old, and it's the patterns are sized. The sweater patterns are sized. Look at that dragon shawl. This was printed in 2011. Nowadays, I think patterns are different in that, maybe not in books, I don't know. But this pattern, it's like pattern sizes: small, medium, large, extra large, and double X large, right? But the yarn amounts, there's only one yarn amount listed. It's like this yarn was used, it's 400 yards per skein, and you need 4 of each color, of the 4 of the red, 4 of the green, 4 of the gold, and then only 3 of the lightest color, the natural color. And I'm like, okay, because usually now in a modern pattern, you'll have, it'll be like 4, like if it's medium, small, and then parentheses, medium, comma, large, comma, extra large, comma, double X large, paren. So then you would have, the yarn amounts would be like 3 skeins, or 2 skeins, paren, 3 skeins, comma, 3 skeins, comma, 4 skeins, comma. You know what I mean? Like it would tell you of each color how much you need for each size.
Right.
And this doesn't. So I'm like, I'm assuming if you're making it, and it doesn't say anywhere. I read all over the book, like, to adjust yarn amounts for pattern. So I'm like, so if it's 4 skeins, I did the math, like how many yards it is. And I even went on Ravelry. There's a few of these projects on Ravelry because I tried to see how much yarn did those people use for whatever size they knit. And there's not a lot of them out there. And so I was like, I'm assuming that this amount would make the largest size. It could be a bad assumption.
Yeah.
But I'm making the smallest size. So at least I know it'll at least make the smallest size, right? And I mean, maybe I could even write her. I mean, it's too late. I already ordered the yarn, but like I told Hannah, I said, I may be getting a lot more yarn than I need, in which case you'll be getting a hat. And because with this same patterning, it has other, chart, the Fair Isle pattern. It has other things that you can make, like gloves. Here's two different kinds of gloves you can make. Eve, look.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, and then I think there's a hat. Oh no, there's not a hat, but there's all kinds of patterns in here. I can use the same yarn to make hats and stuff. I'm like, you'll probably get a set of gloves and a hat and, and. This is another one I've always wanted to make. I don't know, for myself or I don't know who, but isn't that beautiful? I love these patterns. It's really gorgeous. So that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna adopt a new project because I'm insane. But I'm like, you know what? My year's pretty free. I don't have anything large looming, and I'm gonna do the Master Hand Knitter. That's small swatches, and I'm giving myself to the end of the year. So I'm like, I can take on a big project. And like the hat, that's what I call bus knitting and all that kind of stuff. So I think it'll be all right. And if not, But anyway, that's me. Would you like to hear about my crazy night last night? We had a concert. It was a special added performance. And we had a violinist that was supposed to perform. And he got ill at the last minute. So our orchestra had to literally punt on yesterday morning and decide on a new piece to replace the piece that the violinist was going to play. And the whole performance was centered around this violinist, and he wasn't there. So we had to rename the concert and put out a new program. And so I spent yesterday, my colleague designed it, and our boss was fielding emails and all these, things that happen when you have to make these kind of announcements. And so my colleague designed it, printed it. I cut every last 600, 350 or 325 sheets of paper I cut in half. I was doing them in stacks of 3 and 4, but you know, and then we stuffed them all into the programs for the night. So got ready, and then we had this big after party also planned around the violinist. And but we're like, the food's already ordered. We're just still gonna have the after party. But it was also coincidental with our new associate conductor's debut with the orchestra. So we kind of just shifted and focused on him. He's adorable. Everybody loved him, and so we still had the after party, still had the photos, still had the Q&A. You know, it was nice. And so I had volunteered to work, and or agreed to work, whatever. So I was working the concert and the after thing, and at some point, I think my neck was really bothering me, and at some point during the night, I started to get one of those headaches. You know, one of those. It's like a pain in your neck, and then it just turns into a migraine. And by the end of the night, and I had been drinking water, trying to, you know, and I thought maybe it's because I haven't eaten, so I ate some of the desserts, which probably wasn't great, like just sugar instead of some protein or something. Anyway, by the end of the night, I thought, I'm going to throw up. And I had already agreed to go out with one of my bosses, not my direct boss, anyway, another boss. But anyway, we had agreed to go. She said there was this Mexican restaurant right next to the hall, and that she always went to. And so we had agreed to go. And by the time I was helping my other boss load her car with everything, I'm like, I don't think I can even eat. I feel so awful, but at least I can go sit down and take a pill or something. And my feet were killing me. So I walk over and find my boss, my other boss, and she's by the restaurant, and she's like, it's closed. So then we start walking out it was there in Scottsdale, into the mall in the Old Town area, and we were thinking about going to that bar, AZ88, but it was so loud in there, and I'm like, if I go in there, I'm going to throw up. And also the wait was like a half hour, and it was already 11. And so we're like, no, we can't do that. And so
It was 11 and you hadn't eaten yet?
Yeah.
Well, no wonder you didn't feel good.
And we walked out to the street, and there was one of those cabs, like in a golf cart cab kind of thing, guy. And we just asked him a question, stupid. And I mean, he was nice. But we're like, because we had heard from the bar, the AZ88 bar, that's the eyeball bar, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'd asked them what else was open, and they said the Mission's open, we think. And so we were looking for the Mission. So we walked out to the street, and we're like, where is this? And she's like, he goes, it's down that way. He goes, but it's about to close. I can, you know, like, well, what do you recommend around here? And he goes, oh, I have the perfect place. It's called Evo. I can take you there. And I was like, I'm sitting there going, I don't have any money, Nicole. I hope you have money. So we got in, and and he took us, but it was like really far. And we had still had to walk back to our cars, and we were in different parking garages on either side of the Forbes Center. So I was like, anyway, we get there. To ride around down there in that little cart was $25.
He picked someplace far away on purpose.
No, it was $25 even if he'd taken us down the block. He's like, within Old Town, $25. Outside of Old Town, $50. And I was like, so we get there, and my boss pays him. And she's like, how will we need a way to get back, because we're really far from our cars. It's not walkable, you know, especially not with my feet this swollen, this big. And he's like, I'll give you my number, and you call me, and I'll come get you, and give you a ride right back to your cars. And she's like, okay. So she took his number and everything, and we go in.
Wouldn't an Uber be?
So yeah, during dinner, I'm like, I'm calling an Uber. It's $6. But we sat down there, and she had given me, she had some stuff in her, or, you know, Tylenol and Advil in her bag. And we sat down at that table, and I'm like, I'm going to throw up. And so I'm like, I'm not supposed to really take Advil, but my doctor said I can take it once in a while. This is a moment where I need Advil. So I took 2 Advil, and I'm like downing the water, like, and I knew it was my neck, but it's still, because I'd been drinking water all night and it wasn't helping. But, so then I ordered, and I just got, like, it was a fancy Italian restaurant, and it was all handmade pasta, blah, blah, blah. And I took one bite of the spaghetti, and I'm like, I think this is a mistake. I'm like, I really don't want to throw up while I'm out with my boss. This will be bad. But I just kind of forced myself to keep eating, and the Advil kicked in, and by the end I was, but it was so bad at the beginning of the meal that, and it was loud in there, and you had to talk loud to be heard, right? But talking loud like that was hurting me. I couldn't even stand the sound of my own voice, but I didn't want to sit there silent. So I was suffering so much. But then I got better, and but we had a really nice night. And so the Uber took me to my car, and then I drove her to her car, because we were literally like,
Well, when you were talking about riding with that guy and how much it was, I used to drive Uber, and you were in Scottsdale. There's one on every street corner.
Yep.
They're like everywhere. I bet you waited like 2 minutes, maybe less, for his car to arrive and get you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, well, because it was Friday night and all the bars, so they were.
Yeah,
they were
because
out
they
close.
have them all, they're all like vultures waiting around. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was really nice. And his car was nice and warm, and it was great. But, so that was, by the time the night was over, I was feeling good. But, man, I felt bad. And that was the other problem too, is that I had started to get a headache, and then the reception room where we were, was hot. Like, just walking outside they had little sliding glass doors into the main lobby of the Performing Arts Center. I think because that had outside doors, and it was large, it was cool in there. So like literally 80 degrees, 50 degrees. Like, and I was wearing a sweater because I'd been so cold in the morning. I left the house at 8 o'clock. And here it was 10 o'clock, and I wore a sweater, and it was good because I was actually cold most of the night, but so I was wearing this sweater, and I'm like, I'm gonna die in here. I'm gonna die. And I kept trying to eat little brownies and cheesecakes and things, thinking it would help me, and it didn't help me. What I should have done, stupid, was ask my boss or ask any one of my colleagues there that had a purse with them, like, do you have any headache medicine? And I didn't. I don't know why. Until I was desperately sick.
Well,
something. And why don't I have something in my own purse? That's the big question.
When I was younger, well, I still get headaches a lot, but my doctor was trying to help me with headaches that I was getting all the time. I had injured my neck, and I was always getting headaches. And he's like, well, are you taking the medicine? I'm like, well, I don't like to take it right away. I don't like taking pills. And I'm like, I don't like to take it right away. I want to see if it's something that I'm going to actually need to take the medicine for. And he's like, if you wait, then it's not going to work.
No, I know. And that's the thing. It's like, why don't I used to have a little thing of Tylenol. Maybe I even do, and I don't even know it. But why didn't I ask for something then? Like, I don't know why I let it get so bad, But, so that was my crazy night last night. But the concert in itself was, the punted concert, was fabulous. Everyone was so happy. There was maybe a couple people that I heard about secondhand that were upset, and then there was one lady that didn't get the email and was very mad when she showed up. But other than that, everyone was like, this is great. The orchestra's great to be able to change, to pivot like that. And it went really, really, really well. So that was really fun to have such a positive.
That's why musicians have to learn sight reading.
Yeah, well,
I know that wasn't sight reading. I'm just saying,
Yeah, you have
Things
to.
happen.
Yeah, that's what I always thought, that a lot of times I ended up being a pinch hitter, because, like if when I was in New Mexico, there was a time when there were kind of a lot of bassoonists there, which is unusual because bassoonists are pretty rare, but there was a time when there were various occasions when either somebody got sick, somebody couldn't do it, somebody had a conflict, whatever, and so I'd get called in like at the last minute, and also in Little Rock this happened a few times where they called me up, oh, could you come this afternoon and do this concert? And I'm like, with no rehearsal or whatever,
Yeah.
and but one thing I was always good at when I was in college was sight reading. That and actually sometimes I do better the first time because you're nervous and you're all and then I would if the second time we went through it, then I wouldn't make mistakes. But but when you were talking about how you already had the food for the reception and all that stuff, reminded me of when I worked for when Mike Huckabee was a governor. Well, he was the lieutenant governor, and then he was scheduled to become a governor when Jim Guy Tucker, who was the governor, stepped down. So there was all this rigmarole and
Well, in
about
Arkansas, would somebody be named Jim Guy?
Jim Guy Tucker. Yeah, he was the governor, and he had been convicted in the first Whitewater trials, and so Mike Huckabee had been, who was lieutenant governor, was planning a Senate campaign, but when the Tucker thing happened, they were questioning whether he was going to continue the Senate campaign or become governor. So he became governor. So he was going to be governor. So I worked there during that changeover period as a temp, and so the plan was that Tucker was going to step down on, I don't think it was July 15th, I think it was, the middle of July. So there was going to be all these things were going to happen, and then Mike would be sworn in as governor, and then that evening they were going to do a reception. And so, of course, they had already ordered the food and everything for the reception. And then over the weekend, there was some issue with the trial, blah, blah, blah. And Tucker, when he made the phone call that was supposed to be, where he was supposed to be resigning, he all of a sudden said, I'm not going to resign. And so there was all this hubbub, in the office and everything else. And so, like, it was getting close to, I guess it was right around 5:00. And so we were all, getting ready to go home, and it was still very up in the air. And they were on the phone with Tucker, and the news was going, oh, he's not resigning, blah, blah, blah. And so one of the things I did when I was working in that office was I answered the phone, of course, and somebody had called up and said, are they still having the reception? And so I asked, what are the plans? And then somebody said, we already ordered the food. We might as well have a party. So yeah. And then
So did you get to go to the party?
yeah. Well, I went at 5:00. I went home, and I left a little early because there was really basically one door into the office, and that was where they were having a guy with a podium and they're doing a press conference, and the only other door was Mike's private door out of the back, whatever. Mm-hmm. So I left early, so that I could get out the door before the cameras were there, and so I dashed home, and fortunately I only lived about 5 minutes from the Capitol building. And the Capitol Hall, Capitol Hotel, where they were having the reception. But so I dashed home and I turned on the television to see what the news was saying about it, and they said, that he had agreed to resign and blah blah blah. So they were having the swearing in ceremony, shortly, and so I dashed back in my car and went back to the Capitol building, and they. I showed up like, what's happening? And so so I joined the little entourage that was walking down the hall to the rotunda, and And I was getting kind of behind the sort of the main group of Mike and his wife and the kids, and then there were, various people from the office were there, and I was kind of falling behind. And at the last minute, as we were going in the door, there were all these people, onlookers, and they kind of folded in like this, to get into the hall and to the rotunda and see the ceremony. And so I was getting kind of squeezed out, and I was like, as I didn't want to like shove my way in or anything, so I was kind of hanging back a little bit.
I am such a shover. I always shove.
And one of the security guys, my company security guys, grabbed my arm and pulled me in. So I there wasn't any place for me to sit. I kind of had to stand, to watch it. But so I got to go into
That's fun.
the ceremony, and yeah, it was. But there was like all this stuff was playing. They were supposed to be like a swearing in ceremony inside, and then there a public swearing in on the steps that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And all kinds of stuff. But
Was the party good?
Huh?
Was the party good?
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah. So yeah, it was a very weird day.
Oh, funny. Okay, I have another catering story. So, as group sales, one of the things I do is talk to retirement communities, and there was one that we talked to and started a relationship with, and then they're brand new, and all of a sudden in my email I get an invitation to their ribbon cutting. So it was a couple months back. I mean, a month ago or so. So I was like to my boss, I'm like, "You want to go with me?" And she's like, "Yeah." So it was on Thursday, and when I got there was right at the beginning, and they did the ribbon cutting, and it was crowded and noisy, and they had a really bad little portable PA system that was like, it was really bad. They couldn't hear anything. It was anyway, but then then it was like a self-guided tour. You just walked around and you could see the facility and everything. And so they had food everywhere, like at every nook and cranny. There was like a big dessert bar with all kinds of stuff, and then they had in another area they had in the entry they had this huge like charcuterie table with an ice sculpture, and that was pretty nice. And then outside they were cooking shrimp, like you could get a little, like, I don't know, shrimp.
Sorry.
That's her new phone.
More about that
She doesn't
later.
know how to use it. You could do it was like a shrimp scampi that you could get cooked for you.
Yeah.
And then in the main dining area they had like steak that was being shaved, and then like I guess baked potatoes, like a baked potato bar. But then in the back corner, I'd never seen this before, they had a mac and cheese bar.
Yeah.
And you got these paper bowls and you put your ingredients. Like I put green chili and bacon and mushrooms and green onions and whatever you wanted. Like they had all these like mix-ins basically. And then there were these ladies in the behind this bar, and you gave them your bowl and they threw it in a frying pan and they cooked up the ingredients, and then they threw the pasta in there and cooked it up and put in your bowl, and then they covered it with either white cheese or like a cheddar that you wanted. And I was like, that was so good. I had never seen that before. That's kind of a good idea though. But so it was like all kinds of yummy food, and they had a little band that was singing in that main dining room, and the little old people dancing. It was so cute. And then back in another room they had this young man and a pianist singing. He had a gorgeous voice. It was really neat. Anyway, it was a really beautiful facility, and it was fun to go to a party. But I was like, mac and cheese bar. I'm digging that.
Yeah.
And on my way out, I'm like, because they had those like look like handmade breadsticks, at the charcuterie table, and I'm like, I might have to take a few of those in my purse. So I grabbed a handful on my way out the door. But they gave these. Oh, I meant to say they gave these cool. They had gifts for everyone, and on your way out the door, you picked them up, and it's a cutting board with their little logo in it.
Neat.
Like etched in the wood. And I'm like, that's cool.
Reminds me of the is it Mongolian Cafe or something like that. It's something Mongolian something or other. But you go in and I think they might have had some stuff like on a menu, but I think the way you did it was there was like a little bar thing, and you would go in and you would pick like the kind of meat you wanted, and you would pick various toppings, and so it was kind of gross because there was all these piles of like raw meat or whatever, but you would choose and they would put it all you put it all in a bowl, and then you would give it to them and they would cook it. So but it was the meat and the toppings and all this stuff. And so then while they were cooking it, you would go to your table and then they would bring it out to you.
Oh,
So it was kind of neat. It was. I think I only ate there like maybe twice because it was probably a little on the pricey side for me at least. But yeah. So yeah. I think I only ate there a couple times there in Little Rock.
I thought that was an interesting idea.
Yeah.
All right, well, you better tell your story about that stupid phone.
My phone just keeps going off. So I've had my phone since around the time that my parents moved out here in 2018, because my dad had an account, and I had an account with the same carrier, so we combined them so that we all had one bill and all this stuff. So at the time, I got a new phone. But I had been thinking about a new carrier for a cheaper rate and all this stuff, and I had been kind of hemming and hawing because when you change carriers or whatever, it's a big hassle, all this stuff. But so and then I also thought about whether or not to get a new phone, and again I was hesitating to pull the trigger on that. But then the other day, it was, I think just before last weekend, that my phone was acting up because I went to call the pharmacy and I hit the button and I was waiting to hear it dial and I didn't hear it dialing, and so I thought I had done something wrong, so I hung up and tried it again and I couldn't hear anything, and so I hit the speaker button on my phone. And all of a sudden I could hear it, And so I had texted Eve to have her call me, right? So when she called, I could hear the phone ringing, it's fine. I hit the thing, and then I could not hear anything. And I could hear her in the other room saying, hello,
No, before that test, though, you had called me for something. And all of a sudden, you weren't responding to me at all. And I was like, that's weird. And I just hung up on you and went to go talk to you in your room.
But so I could hear
Something
her
with the little ear speaker.
Okay, and we look a lot like those Valley kids because I'll call her and she's in her room.
But so I could
Just
hear
down
her.
the hall.
I could hear her in the other room, but not on my phone.
Yeah.
So I could hear her voice from the other room, and so I was like, something wrong with my phone. And so, because that's what I mentioned to you on Saturday.
I was like, go get a phone.
Yeah. So I went ahead and
I've been telling her to get a phone for months.
and did all the stuff and got a phone. So this is my old phone. It's an LG. And this is my new phone, which is a Samsung. It's got the, so I have to buy a new case because, of course,
Which Samsung is it?
I don't know.
Oh.
But
Better not be better than mine.
I don't know. I have to go get a case for it and all that stuff.
I kept telling her to get a new phone because that one doesn't have any RAM and it doesn't have any storage. And so all her apps would do stupid things.
Yeah.
But so
Nice.
yeah. So the only trouble is I think I got an email saying your reporting was successful, blah blah blah. So I have to. I guess deactivate my old account, and I think
I don't think you actually have to.
something. I don't know.
If it's ported, your
Yeah.
old phone is just a brick that you can look at now.
Yeah.
But you could still open it and turn it on. And
Right.
But
And
you
I,
still need to activate that phone, right?
I don't think so.
this phone is activated, I believe, because I went ahead and activated it.
Yeah, if her,
So it's-
if
yeah.
her porting is done,
Yeah.
that means all her.
That
probably
means
your
it's now a
contacts are
phone, which
through.
is why you're getting,
Yeah.
which is why you're getting
What-
notifications.
What really scared me was over the weekend was that I was trying to do, like some of the stuff was transferring over, but I also was worried that it wasn't like I have Google Photos, so all my pictures are in there, right? But they're in there like in chronological order. So if I want to if I were to look at some photo that I took, 3 years ago, I'd have to scroll through and or search for it or whatever. So anyway, but so on the photos that are on my phone, basically, I have them sort of organized in like. I have a couple of albums of photos in there and whatever. They're organized a certain way. And so I was trying to figure out if it's possible to transfer those albums
I don't think
folders.
so.
Yeah. And so anyway, one of the things that on my Samsung that it was saying, you want to transfer this and this and this, use Smart Switch. So I had it's an app, I guess. And so I had Smart Switch on my old phone and Smart Switch on my new phone. And it said, you put them together and you hold them kind of close together and they blah, blah, blah. So they were transferring and it got to about 50% and my phone turned off. And so I went to try it again and it opened to a certain point and it wouldn't go beyond that.
Oh no.
And it stayed the same place, like it showed, 36% power. And I'm like, I know that's not right because it hasn't changed at all. And so I plugged it in so that the battery wouldn't die, whatever, and it wouldn't do anything. I couldn't go back. I couldn't turn it off. I couldn't reboot it or anything, And so finally, after, I don't know, many hours, probably 12 hours or something, I finally looked up online again, like how to do a hard restart because I wasn't sure if I was doing it right. And so I did. I was able to restart it and
We
get
figured
it
out
back,
that her phone just got too hot.
get back to normal. And so now I think I finally have to pull the trigger I think I have to contact AT&T or deactivate my phone with them. But my new phone is my new carrier is activated now, so.
Well,
It's so traumatic.
But so the
It's not
storage and
traumatic.
stuff you can still access even
Yeah.
if your phone's
Yeah.
not a phone anymore.
Yeah.
Plus-
It's just a computer now.
Can't you on Google Drive go in and put those folders and rearrange it?
You can.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, that's what I was thinking it because on my phone on my new phone there is a photo thing where I could make albums and stuff like that so.
No, I mean
mean-
on your online thing, your Drive,
Your
so
Google.
that you don't have to worry about that. It's up there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can do that.
Because that's what I have, and it goes to the right place. I don't
Yeah.
use Google, but yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that's my.
And that's why she doesn't know how to turn the sound off, apparently.
I do, but I just hadn't done it with this. And the other weird thing is that, on my old phone, there's a fingerprint sensor that's on the back here. So I have my left finger on there so that I can,
Right.
because I have to have my phone on my left ear anyway. So but with this phone, the fingerprint sensor is on the side, and so fortunately, it allowed me three different fingerprint things to unlock it with. So I used my right finger for one of them, and my left forefinger for the other one, and then my right thumb for the other one, so that
I told her she should
all three of them can open the phone.
I told her she should also activate face recognition.
Yeah.
In case your
because
fingers get chopped off.
no, like for me, a lot
In
of
case
times
I'm dead, they can hold my
if
phone in front of my face.
my fingers get so dry it won't recognize anything, or I have something on my hands and I don't want to touch my phone. I just look at the phone and it opens.
Yeah.
You know.
One time Eli was ready for work. So he was dressed and hair combed and sitting there and he goes, my face recognition isn't working. I'm like, that's because you combed your hair. Well, I'm gonna go. I got a day planned, and I need to go look up. The first thing I have to do for the master hand knitter is to write a blocking report, and I didn't do anything on it all week. So I'm gonna go home but one of the reasons I was stuck is because I wonder how far I got on it. I know that I started something. So I need to go look at my files. And I've switched computers since then, so I need to go look at my external hard drive, see if I transferred anything over there, and if I didn't, then I need to actually start up my old dinosaur, which is still in my bedroom, which I hope it starts, and laptop, and see if I have any work done on it already. I didn't talk about this, but I have here my knitting needles ready for I have 3 different sizes, because for the gauge swatch you have to choose 3 different needle sizes, and there's the cable, and I threw them all together, and I'm like, I'll never be able to tell apart. Oh my gosh! Okay, I was this morning cleaning up my needles, looking for all my needles, and like, what project is this in, what project is that in, and I went into the bag that I had the leftover yarn from Miriam's shawl. And I pulled out the needle. And for that shawl, for different sections, it took a size 4 and it took a size 5. And I don't know if you remember, I apparently was also using a size 6 accidentally at some point.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I picked up the needle to like, oh, what size is this? And it said 5. And I looked at the other one and it said 4. So I think I should have switched to a 5 for the whole ending band. And I think that one direction was 5 and the other direction was 4. And the other direction was 5. And I was like, I cannot believe that.
So I just found a mistake that I'm like, the only way I can fix this
In
now.
your berry?
Yeah, the only way I can fix it is to snip a thread and go back God knows how many stitches.
Oh no.
Just, if I thought, this has 2 different colors of green in it, one very light and the other one darker. If I thought that very light one would cover this pink color, I would just do it. But the problem is, some of the berries are this way and some of the berries are this way.
Oh.
And whichever is the flat side where the leaves are has only 1 row of pink, right? But the other side, the other end of it has 2. And I put 2 on both sides here.
Oh.
And so I have an extra row of pink. And I'm like, I don't think that green is going to cover that. So that means I'm going to have to take it out.
But isn't that at the top that you said is covered by the leaves?
Okay. See these leaves here?
Yeah.
See how that little green goes down to here?
Uh-huh.
And this is almost flat. There'll be darker stitches in here, so this is flat.
Uh-huh.
There's the point on that one, and it's supposed to be flat here to that point. So these 2 stitches right there are 2.
Oh, the wrong ones.
They're not shouldn't be there. But this very, very light green one is supposed to go right there where those are, and it's too light. It won't cover it.
I'm sorry.
So now I'm crying.
Don't cry. It's only cross stitch. I saw this thing where it was like a round. It was like a thing like this. It was big, and it was divided into months, I guess. And they did cross stitched or embroidered a little thing for every single day of the month. I I don't know, like how you're feeling or what you did or some little symbol for, and so it's like a whole year, like a diary. But it was really cool. But I, like, again, it would just be something else that I'd be like, I'm 3 weeks behind. Oh, well. So, anyway. Well, thank you for joining us again. And we love seeing you every week. Thanks to our new subscribers. Please like and subscribe and turn on your notifications. And we will see you again next week. Bye.